Yo, what's good, y'all? We bike like 4 flats on a Cadillac, like the passenger seat with your nigga laying in it. This is Introspective Thoughts, and we back for one more good episode of this here program in the year of our Lord, whatever this is. Is this 2020 still? 20 whatever? I don't know. It's a lot happening, y'all.
Shit.
I don't even know what day it is at this point. We just moving with the grooving, but. Y'all know what we here for. We here for some good conversation. We here for some good introspection, some good discussion. And so, of course, I had to bring somebody else on here with me because y'all know I could talk all day, but it's better when you have a conversation with people. It's better like that, right? So,
Right.
On with us today, we have astrology, God. What are the other pronouns that he put down here?
This nigga phone.
Allah, divine, alchemical master, supreme, he who transmutes something serious and source. You probably seen his face pop up several thousand times because that's what Zoom does when other people make noise, their face show up or whatever, but it's all good. Welcome to the program. Welcome to Introspective Thoughts. Some more. How are you?
Yo, what's good? What's good, man? Thank you for the warm welcome and thank you for cracking the jokes. I mean, if that's what everybody wanted to go by and create their own monikers, their own pronouns, why not me? And just for the whole warm welcome. Yeah, man, it's just all jokes. So
man, look, I like my folks know I'm from Memphis. That's all we do is crack jokes. I'm sorry, you will walk up to you, ugly ass nigga, and it really not even, and it be all love at the end of the day. So, but I'm glad that you are here. I'm grateful that you are here. For those that do not know this man here, let me tell y'all. 2020, I know it's been kicking a lot of people's ass. But this is one of the people that has definitely been keeping me on track, along with, my spirit team, with my inner guidance, the multiple ways that the creator speaks to and through me. This being here has definitely been a what's a great describing word? I need my thesaurus out for this one. He's been a great force and a great source of light, a great source of energy in order to not only understand what in the almighty hell is going on above, below, and surrounding us as far as the planets and the stars and all their great jazz is concerned, but just even in a very down-to-earth, spiritual, and giving persona and person that this man is. Like, if you don't follow him on Twitter, which of course I already seen, his stuff at the bottom at this point. If you don't follow this man on Twitter, I need you to get on it ASAP, because his readings gonna change your life, like big time. His readings will change your life. His commentary on things, it'll make you think. It'll make you. It reminds me of, what is that that used to come out on all that is vital information for your everyday life. That's what this man's profile reminds me of. Like, I'm just saying, that's what it is. I don't know about anybody else, but that's what it gives me. So enough of me talking about you. Tell the people who you are, what you do, and what you got going, man.
All right, man. So like you just pretty much alluded to, I read stars and I refine frames. I ascribe to be the greatest alchemist, the greatest astrologer that I'm capable of being. I divine and I pick up codes from source, from communing with the planets themselves, energies and things of that nature. And I'm big on empowering other people, not in the sense of it's like you pay me and I empower you, but in a sincere and authentic sense that everybody has their own unique frame, everyone has their own unique narrative, and their own unique narrative is valid and valuable as fuck. But it's for that own person to determine their value. If they feel that they're low, then they're a low value motherfucker. And they're going to move accordingly. If they want to be high value, then they're going to do what's necessary to evolve and ascribe to that high value. Case in point.
Sheesh. Yeah, y'all know we bring heavy hitters on this show, so you might as well go ahead and get your pen and pad ready, Because if that wasn't enough to tell you what this is gonna look like or where we fixing to go with this conversation, I'm gonna
Word.
go ahead and I'm gonna just need you to go ahead and get something together, get your notes app ready, get your I don't know, your iPad, pen, your Apple, whatever the little shit that iPods, that Apple sells now. I don't know. I sound old and geriatric. I don't know what have. But anyway, get what you need out so we can get started on this conversation. So today we're gonna talk some astrology. This ain't the first or last time that we will have this conversation. Because I'm pretty sure I've alluded to some astrological things on this program before. If I haven't, it won't be the last time. You might as well just go ahead and get used to it because it's just how it's gonna play out. So first and foremost, let me ask you this: what got you into astrology, and how has being or how is being able to read the stars and reframe certain ideologies based on the placements of the stars and the planets and stuff like that? How did you get into it, and how has it helped you? Like, because I see a lot of people, I see astrology starting to go mainstream. I saw Snapchat put a thing on, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is about to end left real quick. It's not looking cute. But how did you get into it, and how has it benefited you as for those who are curious about astrology or who are trying to get into it?
Well, for me, it all started with my first girlfriend. That's where it really started with. So I didn't really know any better. I'm a military brat. So I moved around with my folks a lot. So I didn't have a core group of friends or anything. And then my father was deployed a lot. So I didn't really get that kind of game that I should have got. You know what I'm saying? So my first girlfriend, like my whole nose was wide open. I was doing the whole bullshit, et cetera, et cetera. But at that time in my life, what I required was a lot of Taurus energy. My father's a Taurus, and I lack those type of boundaries, that type of self-care, things of that nature, because I'm very Piscean in nature. So I lack that ability to be fixated and have a certain fortitude. So when I ran into this girl, my first ex, she happened to be a Taurus. And I didn't know any better at how to pursue relationships other than my mother and my father. So that's kind of how I pursued that kind of dynamic. So for me, I'm dating Taurus. I'm not embodying Taurus energy. I'm not grounding in that shit. I'm not bringing it into myself. I'm looking at Taurus as my other half. So already going into this shit, I'm fractured. So the relationship continues to fracture as time goes on. It deteriorates. I had no reason being with this woman. She had no reason being with me, but it was just a toxic situation that inevitably had to explode and implode in both of our faces. I took my full responsibility and accountability for that because at one point in time, I had a very low mindset. Like if, you know what I mean? I was better, this shit wouldn't happen. No, motherfucker, if I left, this shit wouldn't happen. And that's what I had to learn and shit. I had to learn to take all my power and things back. So from this relationship, this was about like a decade ago and some change or whatever, I started to pull myself out of this low hole because I was doing horrible in school. I closed myself away from friends, my family, all that shit. I was very low vibration. So I started pulling myself up. I started looking for things to understand myself, dabbling into the occult, dabbling into esoterics, dabbling into astrology, and then things started to click the more I started to study astrology. Then 5 years ago is when I first gave my readings for free donations and shit, and here we are.
Wow. And it's interesting that your story plays out in that manner, because I don't know if you've noticed or paid attention to it on the timeline, but there's been a question, or at least that I've seen, as of recently, there's been questions of like, how do people get into their spiritual practices and things like that, and how did they get involved with the esoteric or with the occult or with astrology or with tarot or with oracle cards or with bibliomancy or with cartomancy or with any form of information, considered. And it's interesting that a lot of people have similar stories in a sense of there was some type of traumatic experience or some type of experience that really shifted the way that they think, right?
Yes,
And so
absolutely.
it's interesting to see how that's what got you into astrology. And from that story alone, it sounded like that you already kind of had a foot in it without even realizing it.
Right,
Being able to
right,
notice that you were lacking that Taurus energy, and then you were in it, and then how that led to your studies and your practices. It's
mm-hmm.
interesting that you speak on that, because I feel like a lot of people, or at least in this day and age, are starting to dabble more into the occult or the esotericism because of
Right,
those
right,
past experiences. But I don't think people have enough foresight, I guess, or
mm-hmm.
hindsight either, to see like how stuff will fit them or how it doesn't fit them, right? And so, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but like that just goes into like what it is that I do in terms of the whole refining and then reframing, like, and putting things into perspective. Because I didn't at the time know that this was me lacking Taurus energy. It's only through the hindsight, only through the introspection, only through the shadow work, only through trying to figure out who the fuck I am and where I gave my power away did I start to understand and see certain patterns and see that, oh, my father's legitimately absent in certain aspects of my life due to being in the military. Oh, I missed out on certain kind of codes. Oh, I don't have a certain level of boundaries and self-respect due to a lack of not only my father being there, but these Taurus codes. Oh, I thought I had to date Taurus in order to be whole. No, I have to embody Taurus. I need to tap into Taurus. I need to cultivate Taurus. I am already whole. I'm not fractured. I just haven't been working out a certain aspect of my body.
No, that's real. That's real. Damn, I wish a lot more people had that type of introspection, because that would solve a lot of problems, like on a large scale and all the way down to just self in general. You know,
Yeah.
and I keep hearing you saying that you have to embody this Taurus energy. When you say embody Taurus energy, what does that mean? Because I know a lot of people are like, I know Taurus is a bull, but that's like, but what do you mean by embodying Taurus energy? Like what does that mean when you say that?
Well, when you start studying astrology, you start to see that there are certain aspects or certain parts of the body that are ascribed to certain signs. Whereas, like, Pisces rules the feet. I'm a Pisces, but I'm clearly not feet walking the fuck around. You know what I'm saying? I'm the entire body. So there's other aspects of me that are still part of Taurus energy, Aries energy, Leo, etc., etc. In terms of like this Taurus energy, that could legitimately be me vocalizing and honoring my truth and standing 10 toes down in that fucking shit, as opposed to being Pisces and being so goddamn mutable and blending and adapting and going somewhere else whenever things don't really necessarily go my way. You know what I'm saying? Taurus is like, nah, this is what the fuck it is. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you who I am. It's on you to accept me for my truth. If you don't, that's your problem, not mine. And I wasn't kicking that shit earlier, but I'm exuding a lot more of that shit now.
Sheesh. Woo. Okay. Yeah. I hope y'all writing this shit down, because I really need my own pen and pad. I need to be opening up my own notes app right now, because I mean, y'all, I'm gonna just put it like this: if you've never had a reading from this man, please make sure that you schedule one with him as the moment we finish here. The moment you finish watching this,
Love, man,
make sure that
love.
you go do this, because when I tell y'all, I've had multiple readings from him, and the way that he kicks this game now, this is what you get in the readings. Like, and it's so much detail. It's so much. There's so much. How can I say this? There's so much insight to a lot of different aspects, not even just the astrological piece, but what Taurus means.
Mm,
How do you embody that? How do you express that? How has it affected you in your past life? How does it affect you now? How will it affect you in the future? And
right.
just to kind of give y'all an idea or a semblance of what that looks like, the very program that y'all are watching is based off of one of the readings that I had with this man. Like, dead serious.
Word,
Like,
love,
drawing,
man.
like, and the kicker, here's the kicker, is that what he had me do in my reading, y'all, was something that I used as a fucking educator, but didn't even think of transferable skills and how they literally move around to different pieces. This man had me draw a bubble map, connected it back to astrology, and from there, anytime I give readings for myself to other people, or I am doing something creatively, I always go back to that same bubble map and realize that, oh, this shit was written down already. Let me go ahead and jump on this next. And it gives you a practical approach as to what he's talking about when he says embody the Taurus energy, or if somebody was to say embody, I don't know, Cancer energy, which I don't know. That may be necessary in some aspects, but I know it ain't for me. You know, it may be, you know, embody the Sagittarius. You know, I don't know. Just, you know, I'm just throwing things out there, right?
Word.
But it's interesting you brought this up too, because there was a video that I watched a couple days ago, I don't know, where the guy was talking about the upcoming conjunction with Jupiter and Saturn. Now, I know you know a lot more about this than I do, right? But you brought up, when you were talking about Taurus, you brought up this idea of standing, you know, 10 toes down into whatever situation that you have going on, instead of getting up and moving and things like that, right?
Sure.
And so the guy was talking about, you know, that is essentially the basis of what Saturn does as well, right? So I know a lot of people have been like looking into this, you know, Jupiter, Saturn conjunction and things like that. Can you describe or tell the people, tell the class, what in the hell any of that means? Because I know for me, I have my own thoughts, and it's kind of informed by what we've talked about, and informed about, you know, what I've read on Twitter, read in my own, you know, personal studies,
right,
and even what the guy was talking about in the video. But because this is coming up in the next, month or so, 3 weeks, I don't know. Can you tell the people what this means as far as like Jupiter and Saturn being in conjunction? What does a conjunction mean? And like, how the hell does that impact us? Because we know it does. Well, some of us know that it does, but I don't think everybody has the full, you know, shebang or the picture on what that looks like.
All right. So in terms of what a conjunction is, it's going to be when you have, let's say, these two planets, for example, Jupiter and Saturn, they're going to be in the same house. At times, that doesn't necessarily that they're in the same sign, but they're going to be in the same house. So if they're moving in a space where they're both going to enter the same sign together, Jupiter's going to bring a certain vibration and energy, and Saturn's coming along with it. These are like two of the three largest planets that we got, if you include the sun. So these are heavy hitters, but they're on the outer rim. So these are like more subtly influenced, or things people don't normally pay attention because of their underlying premise and their underlying energy. Jupiter deals with abundance, deals with experience. You are always experiencing some shit, so Jupiter is always affecting you. You are always growing. That's the whole point of life, to grow. Like, even if you're like deteriorating, you're growing towards death. You're still moving somewhere. You're still experiencing some shit. So Jupiter is always affecting you, whether you realize that shit or not. If you really start to embody that shit, then you legitimately understand that you are made for increase. And this does wonders for your abundance mindset. Again, some Jupiter shit. So then you got Saturn coming in, and Saturn deals with structure. It's how you were built. It's how it deals with your structure, form, and your discipline. So if Saturn, excuse me, my man, got like motherfucking notifications going off. Oh, shout out to Hypernova. Y'all giving me all these amazing notifications. Anyway, so if Saturn starts to go along with Jupiter and everything, so you got all this abundance and then newfound discipline. So you're literally being made to increase, and this is the new habit. This is the new norm. This is the new foundation. So whatever sign these are entering determines the vibrations that come with it. If it happens to be some Aries shit, then you're going to be made to be more inspirational or more inspired. Instincts are going to be like cultivated. It's going to be easier for you to get shit going because you're not necessarily going to think about the whole grandiose picture and creating a 12-step plan. You're just going to fire this shit off. You're going to be more inspired to actually create some shit and maybe not finish the project, but all this inspiration is going to keep flooding in. This is going to be an amazing time for people who are innovators, who like to be leaders of industry, et cetera, et cetera. Should it be in Aries? If it's going in Taurus, this is going to be a time where people are going to get far more sensuous, far more in tune with their magic, especially like with this whole Taurus full moon right now that's kicking all this shit off and everything. So it's just like everybody's going to get a little power up. Everybody's going to become more in tune with their environment, their own narrative, standing 10 toes down in their own respective truths, et cetera, depending on which lens, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, it affects what these two are going to do together. So you just start taking that shit into consideration and you'll be fine. Or you'll start preparing early and then you'll be like more in tune with the situation as it happens.
Okay. I no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think what a lot of people have been, or the lens a lot of people have been looking at this from, is from the lens of, oh my God, the world's got to fucking end because of, you know, all of the shit that's going on, at least in the United States, well, in some parts of the globe as well. If you can catch a semblance of that on any social media platform that you watch, because you know the mainstream media ain't talking about it. It's just not happening.
Word.
And I think what you just said gave an entire different outlook instead of oh my God, the world is getting ready to end type thing, right? I know for me, when I was studying the conjunction or looking at like what all it means, and when I was watching the video that I referenced earlier, that's what the guy was kind of talking about, and you know, was saying like Saturn has this limitation, but Jupiter has this, you know, abundance. And the thought that came to my head was like exactly what you said. It's like it's a power up type thing. You know, it's an opportunity for us to level up in whatever aspect and whatever regard that we need to, especially considering that, you know, if y'all don't have this app, get the Google Sky Maps app. If you have a Android, I don't know what iPhone users have because I don't know nothing. I ain't about that. I'm on the good side of history over here.
Word.
Just gotta throw the shade at iPhones because I'm like,
nah, do you, Pam, do you?
Y'all buy the headphones outside the phone, you know, that's some bullshit. I'm not doing that. But no, download the Google Sky Maps app if you have the opportunity to do so. Because they have a great time travel feature on there, right? And so when people are on the interwebs and stuff like that, talking about, oh, it's, you know, what is it supposed to be? Is it supposed to be Sagittarius season right now, quote unquote?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. But according to Google Sky Maps, technically the sun just came out of Scorpio, like literally just did like a day and a half ago. You know, and so when you look at that and then kind of, you know, compare it to how you're feeling, it would make a lot more sense versus what you're being told and what you see, right? But with the time travel feature, what I end up looking at, which kind of got me to this conversation as far as the conjunction is concerned, you know, I saw that the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, you said it was taking place, it has to take place, or could take place in the same house. But I saw that it was convening both in the same sign as well. And not only that, it happens also on the winter solstice. And it's just like, if you know anything about esotericism, you just start putting the numbers together. You're like, something about this just doesn't, something seems quite interesting right here. And again, I think we had this conversation before, but I think, you know, this may be a fresh question to you as well. But from what I've been researching and looking at as far as the conjunction is concerned, it's like you have, you know, a body that controls limitations and disciplines. You have the other that controls expansion and stuff like that. And we talked about that being a level up. And so with that happening in the constellation, and it might be in the actual asterism of Sagittarius officially, and then with the winter solstice, which for just quick Bible lesson for people here, right? y'all heard of Resurrection Sunday, right? And the idea of Good Friday. Not to hurt nobody's feelings, but that idea was plagiarized several times.
Oh shoot, go ahead, go ahead.
I mean, I mean, if we gonna go there, if we gonna go there, but the idea has been plagiarized several times. So the idea of Jesus going to Calvary and dying on a Friday and raising back up 3 days later on Resurrection Sunday, which just basic math tells you they don't add up because it's 2 days, not three. It technically would have been Monday instead of Sunday, but I'm gonna let y'all have that one. That whole idea comes from the winter solstice, where the sun is at its lowest point in the sky, and then 3 days later it rises back up. It starts to essentially rise back up, leading us into spring. So I say all of this because I know I got kind of get long-winded, but I say all of this to say, like, to have this conjunction happen in a Sagittarius is a fire sign, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So to have this conjunction happen in a fire sign at the time of death, per se, my personal thought process of this was that not necessarily Armageddon, but like some kind of shift is going to take place to where it might be the thing that send this mug, send all of this stuff into motion, as far as like all the craziness that's just been up in the United States, as well as the country, well, not the country, excuse me, the world. So what say you on that? Because again, this is just all of my limited understanding thus far of astrology, and I ain't the type of person to be out here fear mongering people. That ain't my job. So, what say you on this idea?
Well, if you have Jupiter and Saturn, you have that abundance and you have discipline. Well, that's what it is. You're going to get the whole power up should you do the work. Should you do the alchemical work? Should you refine? Should you purge out all these impurities? Should you start walking towards your mission, embodying your mission, and start with all the frivolous bullshit? Stop with the self-deprecating humor. Stop with the things that literally detract you from your shit. Then you are going to evolve. You're going to be gold. You're going to refine and make it on the other side of this shit. This quote unquote Armageddon and how other people are expressing this is because they know a quote unquote fire is coming. They know a calling is coming. A death is coming. Death is just an ending of a cycle. When we get off this damn podcast, there's going to be a death because we're not going to be talking anymore. It's just the end of something. So the next shit starts. So if you're afraid of death, you aren't even living. You're afraid of life too. Those who are living don't give a fuck about death because they're living. I'm living. I don't care about what's going and if I'm going to die. And if I'm dying or if I do die, it's because I'm dying doing my mission and my mission must be complete. And then I'm going the fuck home and not coming back. I don't fear death. Death is a friend. It's a love. I send gifts to death all the time. I didn't used to be on fucking camera. Now I'm on camera. So I sent that old life to death. The fuck are you talking about?
No, that's real, man. That is so real, and I also think that whole spiel that you just gave goes to the misconception that people have surrounding death. That they, oh my God, it's the end all be all, and it's like, no, that's not necessarily that's not necessarily the case, right? Your what religion has taught is what religion has taught is the concept
fear.
of death. Is that of like things are just kaput.
Yeah.
Wrap it up and we send it on about its way. But what I also find interesting is that a lot of people in their fear of death would do a lot of things to keep themselves alive or make themselves immortal, right? So to that question, since you said like things like death is nothing but the end of a cycle, like why do you think people work so hard to try to be immortal in this lifetime, knowing that you can't take this shit with you?
I believe that and I think I alluded to this like very recently on Twitter and everything, where I was speaking about like Alchemist is like a title that so many people like claim and everything, but I don't feel like there's a lot of people truly doing the work. Not to say that I'm the holiest of, but I just don't feel a lot of people are truly doing the work. So it's like there's certain things where you can tell that somebody is just like, I'm doing this just so I can have gold. I'm doing this. Where's the gold at? Where's the gold at? This seems like the get rich quick scheme, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in that route, they end up perverting what the whole shit is about. They misinterpret because they're not actually doing the work. When you are someone who actually does the work and you show up every day, even when you don't want to be there, even when it's cold, even when it's sunny, even when all your friends are like, yo, let's go do some shit, when you do the work anyway, you learn a certain kind of nuance. You learn a certain kind of idiosyncrasy. Your matrix starts to work with you. If you shortcut that shit, you lose all that stuff. So what gets lost in translation is like they feel like they want to be immortal here. They feel like this is the immortality shit, when this is literally the dream. So they're trying to be immortal within the dream when you can go back and literally be energy incarnate and be in heaven, all supreme type of shit, and live the reality all you want. But they get it mixed up in like translation and shit because they're trying to be wealthy here, but I'm wealthy in here, so it only automatically manifests out here. If I wasn't a wealthy motherfucker, if I wasn't all about this gold shit, if I wasn't all about my alchemy, then I would never have transmuted my reality. I would have never attracted all my clients. I would have never like bossed up and continue to boss up to the point where I'm investing like thousands into my fucking own business. Like, like my business is like I pull people to me and they want to listen to me or they want me to listen to them. I get paid to exist and have conversations. If that ain't gold, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. I am wealth, so I don't need any of this physical shit. I'm solid. You take all this shit away from me, I can get it back. You take it all away from me, I'll be like, fine, I'm not coming back. And then I go home. The fuck you telling me?
Whew. See, wow, yeah, wow, a sermon, a message, a word preached. And, and it's interesting that you say that too, because a lot of people get so stuck up on the outside, the materialism. Like I have to have this, and this in order to be considered successful. But as you just said, what you bring to the table is what your success stems from. Like it's not about the outside, like somebody has to hand me this thing or I have to receive something, you know. I'm this just because I say I am, or just because, you know, that is what my power is. And I think that's something that a lot of people either shy away from because they're too afraid to step into it, or B, because they have gotten so caught up in the indoctrination that they have drank too much of the Kool-Aid to the point where it's almost like a no return type thing. They've delved in it too far to the point where it's like all hope is gone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily your problem and your mission to save them and wake them up. If anything, when you're presented with those kind of problems, shine brighter. So then it's blinding and they can't help but see you and they get awakened, ignited from your own light. If anything, you don't go to them and beg them to wake up. You just shine so bright that they start to squint in their sleep and like, what the fuck is that?
So then let me ask you this, because this is a conversation me and a previous guest had just in private conversation, right? And we've talked about this before where I've, you know, talked about, you know, how I've had certain gatekeepers who have essentially dimmed their own light, but then are trying to dim others' lights because they think that that's what, makes you successful, and that's what gets you to where you can attain, you know, all of this worldly good type thing, right? And so for those people who do not have that kind of mindset that you do, or where you can stand in your power, and who are and who want to step out and kind of stand in their power but aren't sure how to go about doing it, how would you say or what would be the best course of action, in your opinion, to get to that point? Because I know all of this doesn't come overnight. Because as somebody who's working on this shit themselves, if this shit could come overnight, I'd be one of the happiest people on the planet. But I know it don't happen overnight. So, like, what do you say to that person who's trying to go to the beat of their own drum, essentially?
You got to author, create, dictate, embody your own narrative. If you don't have a narrative and understand that your narrative is valuable and intrinsic and all your own, somebody's going to bring you into theirs. This shit is either your movie and you're casting people into it, or someone's casting you into their movie. So it's up to the individual to choose which one they want to be in. If they want it to be their own movie, then they're going to have to write their own fucking script. The fuck you mean? If they have to write their own fucking script, they have to know what their story is about and how they, as the protagonist, are going to move. They have to know this shit. Who the fuck are you? I'm not here to tell you. I don't fucking know you. Who the fuck are you? You tell me. That already puts the power in their position. But they want other people to tell them who they are. So that's how they end up in other movies. That's how they end up casted.
Don't be waiting to exhale, y'all. That's how you get casted. Think about that. You get casted in the other people's movies based off of what you listen to other people. God damn. I need to make sure I put that in the sermon notes at the bottom so y'all can catch that, because this man be literal dropping gems. Like, literal, they just, there's a gem, there's a gem, there's a gem. And it's dope that you said it like that, because I think a lot of people get offended, for lack of better terminology. They get offended when you stand in your power, you stand 10 toes down in your power. They get offended when you don't drink the Kool-Aid, or you don't bite the apple, or you don't, do things the way that they think that. But
that's like what it is right now. You see that if they get offended, if, like, let's say it's me, for example, but you see that shit in, like, let's say Hollywood, when, like, melanated motherfuckers get their own shit, start their own shit, shoot in house, do their own stuff. They don't always get invited to all the whole accolades and all, like Grammys, the VMAs, or whatever the fuck, what's the Oscars and all that shit. They don't, because they do their own shit. That's that caucus shit. The caucus motherfuckers want all that shit. And sometimes melanated motherfuckers end up selling out because they get caucus acknowledgement. But you don't need their acknowledgement. You are already wealthy. You can celebrate yourself now and the shit that we already do. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, that's real, and I don't think people don't pay too, they care too much about white acceptance, or they care too much about outside acceptance in order to their own thing. And this is not even so much. Well, yeah, it can still be considered white acceptance, because you have some melanated people who care more about what their parents think, more about their siblings think, about what their pastor thinks, their teacher thinks, and I feel like me personally, I feel like that's what's happening with this Saturn conjunctions. We're getting to the point where, like you said, you stepping up in your own power. And I've noticed a lot of people just in the last, like, couple weeks or so are like, are y'all niggas just that stupid? Or it's like, or am I that stupid? Or am I like, what's like, you're starting to watch people essentially, quote unquote, wake up, or you watching people, take ownership, as you said earlier, take ownership of their bullshit. They take ownership of what they contribute to the ethers, or what they put out, and what they get back to themselves, to the point where they are doing what the guy said in the video, and as you spoke up earlier with Taurus, is like you're having to sit down in that energy, and you're like, hold on, this is a problem. Let me solve this problem first before I move on to the next thing. And so, I think where the disconnect comes in for those people is that they care more about how the outside it thinks, or versus how they feel internally.
And that's where it ultimately comes down to. It doesn't have to be like a melanated, non-melanated, black, white, caucus, or gay, straight. It doesn't have to be none of that. What it ultimately comes down to is the individual in question has not accepted themselves. What it ultimately comes down to is the individual is going to their matrix and looking for acceptance. But their matrix is nothing more than seeds that they've planted in the past. So all you're seeing is fruit from the past. So you're going to your past and asking to be accepted. And you're planting more seeds of insecurity, of doubt, of giving your power away. So that's only going to perpetuate. You're going to something literally outside of yourself to say that you're good. That's the problem. If you went inside, if you validated your own narrative, if you felt that you were competent, if you felt like you were successful, if you felt like et cetera, then you wouldn't require other people to do it. Other people would do it anyway, though, but you don't require the fucking shit. Like for me, like being a success, I say I'm going to do something or I have an intention in my mind, and then I do it in this reality, I'm successful. It doesn't have to be a dollar amount. The fact that I manifested my intention from an energetic wave to a physical particle and shit that I could have in my hand, that's successful for me. But that's my term for success. Other people are talking about, I want X amount of dollars, I want X amount of women, I want these kind of accolades. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. I just want my success to be my intention made manifest, and I'm good.
And that's the portion that people don't seem to think. They like, well, it could be so simple. Yeah, because it is. Like it is literally that. It can literally be that easy. And I think for me personally, over the course of 2020, you know, I tell my spirit team, my ancestor, the creator, and you know, a lot of other people, I'm grateful for those people, including you, to come onto my timeline or come into my, you know, realm of existence, because it's given me the opportunity to see things from various perspectives, from a third person perspective, from opposite perspectives, so that I can see my own greatness and what my own contributions to this is, to all of this is. But then also, you know, to not be afraid to write my own story, you know, write my own narrative and call the shots like I need to, because for me, it's like I've been so used to people saying, "Oh, you have to do it like this. It has to like this. It has to like this, and if you won't be successful, or you won't get my love, you won't get my appreciation, you won't get this, that, and third." And what I've come to realize is that, you know, that's part of the reason why I'm such an anti-hero in a lot of people's, you know, lives. And, you know, and even for myself, I'm very misanthropic, to the point where I'm like, I will, if I can, I will go to the highest height of a mountain and lock myself in a cabin for 3 weeks and not be bothered by anybody, because I just want to be away from people because of how much stuff was forced on me as a child. But what I've learned just over the course of this year, you know, through these readings and through my own personal reasons and through, you know, a lot of other different things, is exactly what you just said, you know, as far as like, because I think we had this conversation maybe the second or third time that we spoke. It was like, you have to author your own narrative. And literally since the day that you said that, I've been authoring my narrative. And I mean, stuff has just been dropping, just coming through. And it's like, yo, what the fuck? Like, why wasn't I doing this before?
Easy.
Like,
it's that easy.
It has to be like, like, why didn't anybody tell me this was that easy? It's like, no, nigga, we wasn't telling you it was that easy. You just didn't think it. It's like,
well, you have to give yourself the permission. That's what it was. But you were going to other people for permission, instead of just giving yourself the permission. You were going to other people to validate, hey, this is a good idea for my narrative. Is this a good idea for me? And other people haven't lived a moment in your life. So how would they know? They know what you've emitted. They know your light. They know your energy and shit, but they would never know what's best for you the same way you would if you trusted your own intuition and instincts.
That's so
real. Now that you're writing your shit, dog, you solid.
Like, and that's so real that you say that, because I literally watched that happen, you know, with the professor that I've been telling you about, right? Which I feel like I've talked about him before on here without saying any names, you know. But we had a discussion in class where we were talking about bias in education, right? And we were talking about, he had us do the Harvard implicit bias test, and my results came back as a moderate automatic, what did it say? A moderate automatic preference for black people. And I was like, well, there's no fucking shock there. Like, duh, like you needed, I didn't need a test to tell me to tell.
Yeah.
I literally did not need a test to tell me that. Like, I'm sorry, what? Been on this Black Power shit for like years at this point. Like, none of this is new. And so we this whole class period was funny that day. But for some odd reason, this professor decided that he was going to open up class talking about he watched the Farrakhan video. Wow. And I was like, okay. Now, internally, my inner guidance is like, now you know good and goddamn well he done watched that Farrakhan video like he should have watched that Farrakhan video. Because what? And the reason why I say that is because the conversation that we had about bias as an educator, he asked, well, what was our results? Because he wasn't able to see them, but he was like, what was our results? And how does it influence or inform your practice as an educator? And not even just as an educator, but as somebody that's in educational leadership. And I flat out told this man, I told him what my results were. And he was like, well, how do you think you can be a well-rounded leader and have a bias towards white people? and I think I must have laughed when he first asked the question, because I was like, all right, how calculated do I want this read to be? Because I have way too much time, space, and opportunity. And so I feel like I told him, I said, let me just be quite frank, honest with you. I'm like, I've always, if you asked us about, if we had to be a superhero, which would we be? And I'm like, just looks wise, I would be Static Shock, because he was the first black superhero that I knew that had dreadlocks that kind of looked like me.
Word.
True. So then I was like, well, for those people who don't know who Static Shock is, I'm like, let me give you more somebody mainstream. I'm like, in terms of helping kids, I would be Charles Xavier, because I already feel like I'm that. I said, but on this other side, I'm like, I'm definitely Magneto. I'm definitely Killmonger. I'm definitely Thanos today. Like, anti-hero vibe. Like, it's all about self-preservation. And then whoever gets blessed on the other side of that, cool, shout out to you. But as far as me and my household, nah. And then also throw a little Doctor Strange in there. Now, let's rewind what I told y'all. He said he watched Farrakhan. Now, if you watch Farrakhan, you'd understand why I said that I'm more associated with Thanos, Killmonger, Magneto, all the anti-heroes, like Deadpool, like that. Those are just my peoples, right? He told me that essentially I would have to rub elbows with white people in order to, cater to them to get to certain heights in education, administration, and leadership. And I was just like, let me just go ahead and keep it 150 with you. I don't give a flying fuck what white people do, because it's white people's bias. It's got black people in the education system in the United States as a whole, where the fuck we are right now. So why would I give a hot nut fuck about what they got going on when we have multiple examples of black people, melanated people as a whole doing the utmost and then some to survive, to thrive, to cultivate, to create before and after chattel slavery, antebellum slavery, Jim Crow, all of that shit, right? Mm-hmm. So in the midst of all of that, he thought that it was going to detract me or throw me off to interrupt my conversation, because he didn't like that I wasn't going to drink the Kool-Aid. But the fact that I stood in my power, going back to make all of this make sense, the whole idea of what you're saying about standing in your power and writing your own narrative and things like that, and making sure your light shines so bright to the point where it blinds others. I knew it fucked with him when he started to interrupt me and it's like, well, you're really supposed to cater to everybody. And I'm like, no, I really don't care about the United States education system. It can all burn to the ground and we can start this bad boy all back over, because that's literally what we need to do in the first place. But, I'm too radical for you. But as far as like you saying, like, stand in your power and stuff like that, when he started interrupting me, I said, oh, this is what people have been talking about by standing in your power and your light shine and not letting people dim your shit. What I realized is that he was trying to belittle and trying to accept a narrative that wasn't for me, because you're telling a black man who is a reader of Stokely Carmichael, of Huey P. Newton, of the Honorable Malcolm X, of Minister Farrakhan, of all of these different radical, the Black Panther Party, the MOVE movement in Philadelphia. You're telling a black man who's every bit of radical from the city of Memphis to rub elbows with white people when I've literally been playing the game for 26 years of my existence? Come on now, you talking to the wrong person. That's not how that works. But when I saw that happen in real time, I was like, oh, we're definitely not going back. Like this play it nice, play it cute and stuff like that. Oh, that shit, that shit.
Yep. Because it's like on the realest of things, that you didn't necessarily even have to be, and you weren't disrespectful or anything like that. You were frank, you were honest, and you were blunt. So in the reality of it, when you stood your ground and he's trying to pull you in, you can see it now. You can feel it now. You can feel these little jabs, these little things that are trying to undermine your power and authority. So you're like, oh, okay, I don't have power, so you just go ahead and write my shit. You are very perceptive in not condoning that shit and then standing in your power. Because where you just realized, and well, not realized, where you just got back in the test results, you prefer black people, you are also like a prominent and very skilled educator. So if you are a very skilled educator who prefers black people, why don't you just go to where black people are and teach? Done. And you don't have to go about capitulating and doing anything on some caucus shit. You don't have to compromise your morals. You can maintain your authenticity, your narrative, and everything, and be empowered by simply carrying off what you wish to do. No malice, no wrong intent. But if people come with some hot shit or some bullshit, of course, dude, radical. You done said it several times. So it happens.
And that was literally everything that you just said is what I told him, is exactly verbatim what I said in class. I was like, I don't care about none of this shit. My goal in life is that if I'm not the shot caller, I'm trying to be the number 2 person, because that's the real shot caller. The other person, the first person that's in I don't ever want to be a head. I don't want to be the figurehead, the CEO, the head of
word.
Because that's the person that's the show face. I'm the behind the scenes person. And as the behind the scenes person, I'm tearing all of this shit down because it's not what is good or beneficial to my people. And that's who I care about. And I told them that. I was like, my people that I care about, they look like me. And not to say that white people don't need help, but white people have had, and I said this in class too, white people have had a 400-year head start in this country and have been literally built, anything that they have was built off of the backs of melanated people. Indigenous came off a boat, whatever. They made their success off of theft and off of murder and off of capital punishment and off of all of these different things. But to stand in my power then and see how just kind of like all these different moving pieces, I was like, this is why you need people like you and others who are able to see the frames from different perspectives, right? To then show people, you know, what their life could be if they went with their soul's purpose and went with the light that is shining out, that's shining within, man. Without.
On some like take it the Avatar, Last Airbender, the show and everything. It's just a battle of frames. That very last shit where he took Ozai's bending, that's all it is. A man tried to go over and conquer your soul, but you took his bending away. Literally all it was. Your soul was uncorruptible, so he lost. He can't do shit now. And now you carry on. Literally what it is.
And see, and that was one of the other things that had me really kind of realize my own power was watching Avatar. Because I didn't watch it when it first came out. Like when it first came out on Nickelodeon back in the day, what was that, 2007 when it came out? Something like that. I was in 7th, 8th grade. I didn't watch it because it was just like, this ain't my genre.
I'm good. Like, you know, just give it a skip.
It wasn't.
Word.
This is somebody that was an avid cartoon watcher. Like my TV stayed on Nick and stayed on, you know, Cartoon Network. But when Avatar came out, it was just like, nah, it wasn't for me. But when I went back and watched it this year, which it's wild to even say, because the fact that
it's a well-written show, man.
It's a well-written show, and I see why I needed to wait until now to watch it.
Yeah,
because
toes out the ass for your ass, man.
I mean, when I say codes left and right, and I'm like,
yep.
the fuck wasted this on a kid show? Like, you put this on.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like had I, and I don't like saying this anymore, because I'm like, if I, the saying that of, you know, if I knew then what I know now, and it's like, but if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have the experiences that I have now.
No,
it wouldn't make sense. Like,
it's all part of the journey.
It's literally all part of the journey. And so when I'm watching Avatar, and I'm seeing all these different conversations that they have, the conversations about karma, the conversations about your chi and your chakras, and going with the flow, and being like water or being like air, and, you know,
pulling from other nations and shit.
Exactly. And so to see all of this stuff come together, and then have a frame of reference, it was just like
that's why I be trying to tell y'all, man. Like, this shit is real. The stuff they be dropping, they some real gems and stuff. And when you have the correct mindset, like, this is your story, you can just pull the codes and apply for your specific story, and it makes things so much easier. It doesn't have to be a cartoon, doesn't have to be a fucking superhero movie, doesn't have to be anime or nothing like that. I just know there's a whole bunch of supernatural shit that happens in those in particular. It can be any fucking movie. It can be any fucking show. You want to be fucking John Wayne and be a badass masculine figure? Go ahead, cowboy. What the fuck you talking about? It doesn't have to be that. But for me, and like how I deal with like most of my clients, they love that supernatural shit. So that's where we pull codes from.
And it's the kind of similar what I do when I do my own tarot oracle readings, because I know a lot of people who come to me come from a religious background, they come from a Christian background, and even for me, like, I grew up in the church, and so a lot of my references, like, you use that, and because even with some of our readings before, you definitely reference back to a lot of superhero stuff, if you reference back to a lot of cartoon stuff, because as you said, that's how, you know, it's best received. You know, for me, I do the same in my own readings with other people, where, you know, I may reference like a specific Bible verse and put it towards whatever, you know, I'm talking about at that moment. And they're like, oh, that's what the fuck that means? It's like, kind of lets me know that you don't really read your Bible like that either. But
but that's what I'm trying to get across to all my clients and stuff. Like, you have your own individual square, like I use mine and everything, where mine is astrology, astronomy, alchemy. I use these cartoons, animes, or whatever the fuck to get these kind of codes and everything across. You do the same exact shit on your square, but you use your narrative and your experiences. So you use Bible verses. There is nothing better that I'm doing or nothing more holy. Nah, you're doing the exact same shit. It's just you're getting better at your respective pace, or I'm getting better at my respective place or pace. We've been doing it at different points and periods of time, and we're going to different destinations. So we cannot compare. However, I'm bringing up the juxtaposition merely to assess that you're doing the literal same shit.
You're right. No, I can't. I legitimately cannot deny that. And I owe a big thanks to a lot of key players into this. I definitely owe a lot of people thank yous just for the work, you know, that they do in general, but how their work has helped me, even in the most minuscule amounts, you know, help me grow from, you know, January of this year to, you know, November, December of this year. And it's like, you don't realize how much you have to work through until you start working through it. And I feel like the biggest part of my lesson learned, you know, over this year, you know, as far as while dabbling in the occult and looking into astrology and looking into esoteric things and stuff like that, the biggest lesson that I've learned this entire year was that, you know, I have the ability to do everything because I have everything I need in order to be successful. But the biggest issue is standing in your own fucking way. And it's like, If I could just get out of my goddamn way, all these things will
Well,
literally move itself and things will work itself out like you need to.
but that's the amazing opportunity, and that's why I start to see that, I guess, because the whole abundance and shit. But that's the amazing opportunity. Your movie is going to be fucking amazing. Like, if this is the fucking climax where you just have to get out your own way, bro, you've been building up to the climax this whole fucking time. Once the climax happens, is fucking smooth sailing. Is it not? Doesn't that where the falling action comes?
You're
You've
right.
been building to this shit the whole fucking time. So if you look at it like that, bro, dog, what you got to worry about?
And that's funny because because literally you don't have anything to worry about, right? Because and I've told you this before, how I channel messages through stuff that I just say to people and conversations that I
Yeah.
have using and all that great stuff, right? And so I've been channeling. God, I hate the English language. I've been channeling Dr. Maya Angelou, where her famous quote, "When someone shows you who they really are, believe them
Mm-hmm.
the first time, not when you feel like it,
Yep.
not the second time, not when it's convenient, the first
Yeah.
time." And but again, going back to what I was saying earlier about what is the idea? The idea of what is it? Damn it! I hate the English language. I can't think of the word I'm trying to say.
Channeling while you're like giving messages and shit.
Not even that, but the idea of transferring skills. That's where it is. So
There you go.
transfer different things, and you can put it, apply knowledge and other different things. I didn't think
Mm-hmm.
about how that exact same quote that she said doesn't just apply to people, but it also applies to the Creator, to the Most High. Because something that I recognized, while I was on Cloud 47 one day was that time is relative to the observer. And our idea
Mm-hmm.
of patience is based in that time of relativity, right? To us,
Mm-hmm.
something may seem like it's going slow or it may not be happening at all. But
Mm-hmm.
to the higher authorities, they're looking like, nah, this shit showing up right on time. Ain't nothing delaying this train.
Yep.
Ain't nothing stopping
Yep.
this train. You just the one that's pressed for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. And you're being
Shit's
pressed delays the train or sent in
exactly.
different directions.
Exactly. And that was one of the things that I realized just as of recently, as far as, the idea of the concept of getting out your own way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that same idea of what Dr. Angelou said is that you can apply that to the universe. It's like, if the universe showed you that it's got your back multiple times, when the fuck is you gonna start believing it? Ain't that what
Hey,
faith is?
man, and it's like that's the whole thing that I'm kicking to my clients and everything, is that what a lot of, I know, a lot of humans would go on some shit where they're like, I need to understand though, and that's where fucks them up, because that takes them immediately out of faith, because they need to understand, they need to be proved to, they need to be convinced, they need to, that I need to know. That removes them out of faith, that takes them out of their power, that makes them subservient almost, because then you could just feed them certain shit or break them off a little something to sustain, so they get a little sustenance, but they'll come back. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's a very low place to be. So with my clients and everything, and especially like something you can attest to, is that I don't know any of you. I don't I haven't hung out with any of you. I haven't done shit. We haven't ate. You know what I'm saying? I don't know any of you. I don't understand how any of you truly move or how any of you really get down. I've never seen you all really in action. However, I accept you all wholeheartedly. That's the fucking difference. I don't need to know how you get down, my nigga. I don't need to know what your grandiose, great scheme and overall mission is in this plane. I accept that it's different than mine. I accept that you're moving in alignment. I accept that you are you and I am me, and you probably operate differently. That's all I need, dog. That's all. That's it. Everything else we can fill out energetically, and I can assess with you. If you was treating me like shit, dope. You still moving in your alignment, but we wouldn't fuck with each other. Like, I'm not gonna force you to fucking change. I might run your fade and shit, but that's it. You know, but and it's just love and shit.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I appreciate. Which this takes me right into my last question for you, and that's one thing that I've always appreciated, about your work in general, but a lot of other spiritualists that I go to as well, or that I am, cool with as well, is that we all approach our work from that similar standpoint, where it's like, I don't have to know what you're going through. I don't have to know how you respond to shit. I don't have to know what your past was, but based off of what I'm given now, or just me approaching you with unconditional love regardless, that's what's going to make us both better. Not just you, not just me. We both are going to benefit from it. And from that, that's how, we grow. But it takes faith in order to make that a thing, Faith without work is dead. If you don't put in the work on my side, your side, upside, downside, diagonal, whatever, you can expect all of the shit that you're asking for to literally hit the ground and go nowhere. So my final question for you today is, what is the process? What is your process for somebody that is trying to get a reading from you, right? I don't know. You said something recently where you like the personal readings holistically. I think y'all may have missed out on them because my homie here is going onward and upward. Like this man, if you could have watched his growth from the time I met him, which was like in March, or no, it was in March, right when the pandemic started. To watch his growth from March up until now, it's like, no, I see why you on this type time where you like, dog, this for play. But let's imagine that I was getting a reading from you now, right? What does that look like? Like, walk the people through what that looks like. So if they wanted to get one from you, how does that process look like, and where do they go from there?
Man, see, I got like some stuff under construction, so I'm really like upset that I haven't finished this last part and everything, and I haven't pulled the trigger. But there was like, I have my website, but the website is going to be under construction, so soon it's going to be able for you to do it on there. As of now, I'm predominantly on Twitter, so it's some more SOMEMOOR. See the shit, the same shit with the whole email, some more at Outlook. If you just send me a DM or an email regarding this shit, I got you. However, like my man was talking about, it's no longer just regular readings. I'm moving on to a monthly clientele, so you can book me for the month or you can book me for 2 months, and I will be the more you know, personal alchemist and astrologer for hire. You dig? So holla at me.
Sheesh. Well, y'all heard it here. Y'all know we support Black business around here, so make sure y'all go get one, and trust and believe what I tell you, they are worth the ducats that you are going to send out.
Yes, sir.
Trust and believe you're getting your money's worth out of it. And not only will you get your money's worth out of it, but you will definitely get a great supporter and a great what is it? You get a crowd of people behind this one being, because trust and believe, if it wasn't for this man here, you wouldn't be seeing neither one of our faces on this platform.
Word, love him. Love God.
Keep it up $150 with all of y'all. So are there any final comments, questions, concerns, cries of outrage that you have for the people, for the good of the order?
Oh man, the tagline: remain blessed and empowered.
Hey, remain blessed and empowered. That's all we can do around here. Well, y'all, that has been another episode of Introspective Thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah. Man, thank you for having me. It was a wonderful time. Absolute pleasure, dude. Let me know. I'll be more than welcome to come back, dog.
Yeah, we definitely have to have you come back. Me and my homegirl were talking about doing overall energy readings for 2021. We might have to pull you in for that one. If not, with that episode, we have to pull you in with the surrounding episodes, just to maybe relieve some of the tension from a lot of people that's thinking, oh my God, we're going to be stuck in this panoramic for 3 years and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I mean,
if that's what it is, then get to work cultivating yourself and refining. And if you don't like it, get the fuck out. Like, that's what it ultimately is. Like, you don't have to, quote unquote, and maybe this isn't the most responsible thing to say on here, but I guess I'll take full accountability for it. But you don't have to fucking co-sign the damn lockdown. If someone tells you to stay in the fucking house, that sounds like some gangsta ass shit if your ass stay in the house.
I mean, because when they was going on lockdown, I was like, you're telling me to do things that I was going to do anyway. Like, I was going to stay my black ass in the house any goddamn way. I don't like y'all. And there's food in the house. And I got shit to do. And I got Netflix and Hulu and Showtime and YouTube. I can watch all of it. And I got music at my house. And, what? You're telling me to do something that I planned on doing any goddamn way. Cool. So the fuck. But like you said, you know, take that time to, if you don't like it, what you have going on, take that time to change it. Because trust and believe me, when I tell y'all, I hit this man up a couple weeks ago and I told him, I said, yo, it's wild that I'm about to be a full year since I, for the final time, quit teaching and started to go my own way and go the rhythm of my drum and go at the beat of my own pace and stuff like that. And even just in the past few weeks, I've just been sitting in reflection and I've, you know, been thinking like, damn, my life has shifted a lot in 7 months, you know, 7-8 months. Shit, since January, it's done a full 180, you know, since, you know, September, October has done a full 90 degrees. You know, it's like my life has changed a lot just in this one calendar year, which is why I'm like, bro, how the fuck is it still 2020 right now? It feels like 5 years has gone by so far because it's like so much has happened. And, you know,
that comes down to you planting the seeds, though. That's what it is. Because once you became aware, you started planting seeds differently, and you were doing it in a certain way where this isn't even you doing it at your best. You're still learning and all that stuff. So just within the last 7 months or whatever, bro, this is just you still on okay, so this is the tutorial. Bet. Bro, you haven't even hit this shit, but you're already leveling up so much. Like everybody does from the tutorial. So it's like you ain't even in the game yet, pal. So I cannot wait to see what comes for you 2021, 22, all that shit, man. Only fly, abundant shit's on coming. Only prosperity, only power. See the shit. Vibes, dog. You hear it?
Man, I'm eternally grateful. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, man. We blessed and empowered tribal here, man. That's all it's gonna be, man.
Yes, definitely. Yes. So again, where can the people find you, man, so they can get in contact with you, so they can?
Oh, Twitter, dog. Got some more. Just find me on Twitter. I'll be there, dog.
Well, all righty then. So now officially, that has been another episode of Introspective Thoughts. Y'all see what happens when folks get to talk, because
black folk, man.
This is like family. So we literally be here all day. Yeah. But I know this man got great stuff that he needs to go do. I know y'all got shit y'all need to go do. Y'all need to go hit this man up. What did I tell you before? Go hit him up soon as this month go off. Go hit him up.
Yeah.
Life together. Are you still selling crystal cages to the people?
Man, I was thinking about rocking it on here, but it was gonna conflict with the gold, with the copper on top of the trying to clash, you know.
I ain't mad at it.
Yeah, I do. I sell them hoes. Them motherfuckers are 35 a pop. Holla at me, and they based on your sun, moon, and rising, man.
Man, I got y'all, man. Get them. Like I need to go and get mine. I traded mine for a reading, which I'm grateful that I.
Hey, them mugs you used it for its purpose, pimp. That's legit what it is.
Yeah,
that's
like
legit what it is, dog.
Everything literally happens for a reason. I traded mine for a reading, and you see where it turned into at this point.
Powers.
Just from the people that I know who have gotten one, they like, nah, them shit hit.
Yeah, dog. Like I said, based on your sun, moon, and horizon, I know this shit, so I put it together, man.
Hey, and he does a fantastic job at doing so. But with that being said, most importantly understood, y'all be great out here. Y'all take care of yourselves. Y'all keep warm. Y'all stay dry. Y'all do all these things that y'all need to do and keep moving onward and upward, because that's what we do around here. As he said, we stay blessed and empowered round here. So with that being said, y'all be great, and we'll holler.
Peace.